Did you know that 40 million US adults suffer from anxiety disorders? That's about 19% of the population. And whether you are included in that statistic or not, you have likely experienced some form of anxiety over the course of your life. I'd even go as far as to say that maybe it was driven by finances. In fact, 70% of Americans reported stress in their financial situation. Between inflation, rising costs, job instability, and fears of the current state of the economy, it's all too easy to let finances just stress you out. So if you struggle with money anxiety, I want to help. In this episode, I'm sharing 5 steps to help you get rid of your anxiety around money and feel more peace in your situation. Now, before I get into some of the ways that you can eliminate money anxiety, I want to share with you that your stress, your worries, your fears about money are completely understandable. I have my own worries about finances, but I have learned to work through those fears and anxieties as best I can, at least. And I want to say that your mindset plays a key role in the overall success and happiness of your life, including your finances. So, if you are letting your financial anxieties rule, it's absolutely necessary to work towards that peace that you deserve in your situation. Now, I'm not saying thinking differently just changes everything, but it puts you in a clearer frame of mind to make the best decisions possible to improve your situation. Okay, so let's get into the 5 steps to eliminate money anxiety as best we can. Step number 1, acknowledge your feelings. And I feel like, as easy as this sounds, it's actually one of the hardest steps. The first step to finding peace in your finances or your life in general is to acknowledge how you feel about your situation. Ignoring your feelings or acting like they don't play as big a role as they do is not the answer. In fact, anxiety thrives when we try to ignore or suppress it. So take a moment to reflect. What exactly is making you anxious about money? Is it your debt? Is it uncertainty about your income? Is it the tightness of your budget? Get clear on your fears. This is the first step to actually facing them, but go deep here. And it's not going to feel great. It's not going to feel comfortable, but this is absolutely necessary. So start getting clear on what is driving your feelings of anxiety around money. When you take the time for your reflection, I recommend you do this and write it all down. You probably know by now that one of my favorite exercises is journaling. Writing down everything that's on your mind regarding your finances will help you get all these jumbled thoughts out of your head and onto paper. There is no filtering here, okay? So when you're going through this exercise, just get everything out of your head. I think this will allow things to be a lot more clear for you because, again, when these thoughts are in your mind, they're just all over the place. So if we can get them out of your mind onto paper, it will be much easier for you to see how realistic or unrealistic your worries truly are. So, for example, if you write down that you fear you'll be homeless, take a moment to assess how realistic that fear is. I mean, do you have parents or siblings who would take you in? Have you ever missed a rent payment? Do you have a savings? Sometimes our fears stem from much deeper insecurities, and seeing them in front of us just makes us realize how unlikely they actually are to happen to us. And I want to add here, there is no shame in these thoughts you're having, the fears you're having, the worries you're having. Everybody has them. So there's no shame in feeling stressed about your financial situation. Money impacts every area of our lives. Just make sure you don't skip this step, because acknowledging those feelings, those fears, those anxieties really is the first step to taking control of them. The next step is to Get clarity on your financial situation. So we have acknowledged our thoughts and fears, the negativities around our finances. Now it's time to actually see, what does our financial situation look like? Okay. Ambiguity breeds anxiety, but clarity builds confidence. Now, I just want to add that I have spoken with so many women who do not look at their numbers or their bank accounts because they don't want to face the truth. However, when they do finally look, because I am coaching them to look, they realize things aren't as bad as their brain makes it out to be. They thought they would be much worse off, or they thought they did a lot worse damage than they actually did. So, if you are one of those people who doesn't look at their bank accounts, doesn't really take into account their numbers because you don't want to face the music, we have to work past that. You have to know what's going on in your situation if you want to move in the direction of change for the better. So, how do you go about doing this? Well, let's start with the basics. Start by reviewing your income, expenses, debts, and savings. How much income do you bring in consistently? How much do your regular bills and expenses cost? Where do you stand with your debt balances? And how much is being saved, or how much do you have in savings? Now, you might feel nervous at first to dive into this exercise, but I promise you, knowing your numbers will help you feel much more empowered. I have a saying that I love to repeat, and it's, knowing your numbers is owning your numbers. When you know your numbers, you can take control of them, and that is so impactful. If you don't already have a system for finances, it is time to create one. Use a simple spreadsheet, download a budgeting app, or even put pen to paper. Whatever will work best for your personality, that's what we want to move in the direction of. And once you can do that, it's time to organize your finances into categories. So these will be your spending categories, where your money goes on a regular basis. And when you have that clear picture of what's coming in and going out, you will find it so much easier to just take a breath and make informed decisions about your money. Let me tell you this, ignorance is not bliss. It is stressful. So take the time to get clear on your situation. Now, I do want to add that I just recently launched the City Girl Savings Personal Finance Portfolio. Basically, your entire financial organization system. It is everything you need to get organized financially with your numbers, your accounts, your balances, your bills, all of that. Definitely grab yours today. You can visit citygirlsavings.com/PFP now to grab it. I'll also link to it in the show notes. Okay, let's move on to the next step to help you eliminate money anxiety, and that is focus on what you can control. This is a tough one. I will be the first to admit I struggle with this, or I used to struggle terribly with this. I've learned that I cannot control everything, no matter how much my Virgo brain tries to. It just leads to disaster. So there are so many things I've come to realize are just completely out of my control. And, I wish I could change those things, but I have to remind myself that I can't. And if you're like me, you got to do the same thing. Let me give you a perfect example. The weather. I thrive on my morning walks, which happen Monday through Friday around 6:30 a.m. If it's freezing or it's raining from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m., I can take it personally. And as I say that, I realize how ridiculous that sounds, because the weather, Mother Nature, cannot be controlled, and getting upset about it, taking it personally, only hurts me. The weather certainly isn't offended. The weather is doing whatever the weather wants to do. I obviously talk myself down after getting worked up, but I still haven't fully mastered the not getting worked up part. So I share that with you because if you struggle with this, you are not alone. I am right there with you. And I think one of the biggest drivers of anxiety is just that feeling of not being in control, feeling out of control. And the same goes with anxiety in general, finances or not. But here's the truth: while there may be things that are completely out of your control, there are always things that truly are within your power or within your control. So instead of worrying about things you can't control or can't change, like the weather, the economy, or any unexpected expenses that pop up, focus on what you can change. Focus on what you can control. Can you cut back on certain expenses to free up money for savings for unexpected expenses? Can you start looking for a side hustle to bring in extra income? Can you renegotiate a bill or a debt payment? Even small actions can just help you take control and feel more in control, which will reduce your anxiety around money. Remember, progress isn't always about perfection. It's about taking one step at a time, and those steps will lead to bigger results. All right, the next step to eliminate money anxiety is to set realistic goals and a plan. So once you've clarified your finances and you've identified the areas that are within your control to change, it's time to set some realistic goals and make moves towards those goals. Now, I totally understand that anxiety can really make us feel stuck, but having a plan gives you a sense of direction so you can actually move forward. You can take action. And I think that sense of direction, just having an inkling on where you can go next, really helps to foster peace within your situation. Now, start small here. We don't have to do anything crazy or drastic. I say the same thing to my coaching clients. Like when we first get started with budgeting and tracking the spending, I tell them, do what you normally do. Do not completely deprive yourself. Don't completely stop your spending. That is not sustainable. And the same goes here. Start small with the goals and the action steps. What is one goal you can work on in the next 30 days? Maybe it's as light as saving $25 to $100. Maybe it's paying off a small debt or cutting out one unnecessary expense. What is one thing you can work on in the next 30 days? Write that thing down and map out the steps to get there. I think the act of planning is so powerful, and it by itself, just having a plan, can help ease your stress because it shifts your mindset from worry about what I'm going to do to action. Here's what I need to do. And I just want to add, do not forget to celebrate your wins along the way because progress definitely deserves some recognition. If you are not sure what to work towards or you need some ideas on things that you should be saving for or financial goals to set, definitely check out City Girl Savings Podcast episode 80, 8 things everyone should be saving for, to get some ideas. I will link to it in the show notes. Okay, moving on to the final step to help you eliminate money anxiety. I feel like you probably know what this is going to be, so drum roll please. Practice gratitude and positive affirmations. So I think one of the most powerful ways you can ease money anxiety, ease some financial stress, is to focus on gratitude. You knew I was going to say this, right? But what is going right? It's so easy to focus on what's not happening for us, what's not going right, what we're not doing right, what isn't coming to us. But what things are going right? Gratitude is such a great way to shift the focus from what's not going right, from what I don't have, to what is going right, to what I do have. And like I mentioned earlier, that mindset shift is critical to your long-term success. So I want you to take a moment every single day and acknowledge what is going well in your financial life, no matter how small it may seem. Maybe it's having a job, having a steady income. We're not even going to let our mind go to, well, it's not enough. No, at least you have a job. At least you have a steady income. Maybe it's the fact that you can pay your rent, right? What a blessing to be able to pay your rent. Or maybe it's having a support system. Maybe you know that if things were to hit the fan, your family, your partner, your friends, like people would come to your rescue. That support system is definitely something to appreciate. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. It's no longer what I don't have, it's what I do have, and appreciating that. Now, I would love for you to take it a step further and pair gratitude with daily affirmations. So, here are a few. I am in control of my financial future. Or every day I'm making progress towards financial peace. Or one of my favorites, money flows swiftly and easily into my bank account. These statements might feel awkward at first, especially if you're not used to affirmations, but over time, I promise you, they help rewire your mindset. I have been using manifestations and affirmations since 2018. And when I tell you my life has changed and things have come to fruition that I had no idea would be possible, it's true. So give this an honest shot. When you focus on the good, when you focus on the positive, when you put your mind towards the things that are going well and that you are capable of achieving, you leave less room for anxiety to take over. If you are not already in the City Girl Savings Facebook group, I would encourage you to join. I have started sharing affirmations twice a week in there, and the community members love them. One member even said that she was making a list of all of them to look back on in 5 years. So I encourage you to do the same. All right, there you have it. I want you to know that you are not wrong for feeling anxious about your finances. Everyone does, myself included. However, I don't want you being controlled by that anxiety. I want you to consciously work towards peace within your financial situation. And hopefully, the steps I shared with you today can help you do that.